everyone to our keeper chat today. We're in the yard with our hooded cranes. They're kind of wigged out a little bit because there's two of us in here, I think. I'm gonna try to, I've got some super worms in my hand that I'm trying to get them to come over here towards us. There she goes. She's gonna come check out those bugs underneath the tree. Alright, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about our hooded cranes here. Hooded cranes are one of the smallest crane species. However, they are still quite a large bird. They stand about 3 feet tall and they're about 7 to 8 pounds with a 6-foot wingspan. If that male tends to get going in, he'll spread his wings out for us. I'm trying to get some bugs over here. They're not having it today. So we do have a male and a female pair. So that female is the one that she's slightly smaller. Males and females are not distinguishable between each other. They do look very similar. They just have that slight size difference. So the female is the small one eating the bugs in the grass, and that male is the slightly taller one. Back along the fence line. These guys are a younger pair, so they haven't had any chicks yet. Let me think, actually, no, Wednesday. We looked it up. Dee Dee turns 3 on Wednesday, and then, what's his name? Mandark will turn 3 middle of June. So that's when they become sexually mature at about 3 years old. So these guys have not done any breeding yet. They haven't had any babies. Oh, can you guys hear the kookaburra from here? In the wild, actually there isn't much research done on these guys in the wild because of the harsh conditions that they live in. So there isn't a whole lot of research being done on these guys in the wild. However, in captivity, these guys can live to be about right around 15 years old. In the wild, these guys are found in boreal forests, grasslands, the wetland marshes of South Central, Southeast Siberia, North China. They migrate to Japan for the winter months. In the wild, there are estimated to be just over 11,000 individuals of these guys. They are considered vulnerable on the endangered species list, and that is because they do have a decrease in population due to the
habitat destruction.
Habitat destruction, yes. I was trying to do too many things at once and I lost my train of thought. Due to habitat, like I said, they live in those wetland marshes, and those are those habitats that are very susceptible to pollution. Oh, here she comes. She's getting more comfortable.
Charlie watches all the time. Thanks, Charlie. But he wants to know if they can fly around.
Naturally, they would fly, yes. So what we do every month when we weigh our cranes, we safely grab them up, which can be kind of tricky with a big bird with a big sharp beak like that. So we safely grab them up, and then we trim the feathers on one of their wings. And by doing that, it kind of makes them lopsided when they fly. So that way he can't get over the fence. So if you're ever here sometime, and Mandark has started doing this a little bit because he is, like I said, he's almost 3, so he is doing, cranes do these very elaborate courtship dances that help strengthen their bond with one another. So you will see him, and she does a little bit too, but it's mostly the taller male. He will kind of jump up and do these dances and spread his wings and throw his head back in the air and do these beautiful songs. Let's see, in the wild, what these guys eat, they are considered omnivorous. That's your vocab word for the day. Omnivorous. That means that they eat both plant matter and meat. In the wild, they're going to eat mostly aquatic plants, berries, insects, frogs, seeds, things like that. Here in the wild, we give them these super worms that I showed you. Oh, awesome. She refilled these buckets. I'm going to grab their food.
You're going to grab their food? Okay. Try to get a better look. They want to hide behind the tree.
So in the wild, we feed them, or in the wild, in the zoo, here at the zoo, we feed them the worms as a training treat. And these are specially made crane pellets that they eat. And then we feed them like lettuce and sometimes vegetables and stuff too.
Somebody wants to see the dance. Do you know how the dance goes? Can you do it for us?
I don't know if I can do it for. My neck isn't that long. My head doesn't. I think my chiropractor would be angry with me if I tried to do the dance.
Oh. The good news is it was your mom that wanted to see the dance.
Oh. Well, I know she's taken me to the International Crane Foundation where Mandark was born, so I know she's seen it before.
Everyone wants to know if they're full grown yet.
Yes, these guys are full grown. Like I said, they turn 3 in the next couple weeks. So they are full grown. They're just reaching sexual maturity though. So they have not had a baby yet. We have seen Mandark starting to do those courtship dances with her. So fingers crossed.
There's about 15 species of cranes. This is one of the smallest.
Yeah, this is one of the smallest.
And some of the taller species, like the, I think they're the wattled cranes, get to be about 6 feet.
Yeah, they're crazy.
And so if you look at that beak's meant for grabbing stuff and sometimes stabbing stuff. So if you can imagine a 6-foot crane with that beak, it's right at eye level. So some of those birds, you have to wear eye protection so they don't get angry at you.
I've never worked with a crane that large, but I've heard stories from other keepers.
They're pretty terrifying.
They're pretty terrifying birds.
It's like a dinosaur almost.
They are. They've found fossils of cranes that go back thousands of years.
Yeah. And so if you can imagine these guys flying, they do migrate. So these are a small crane, but imagine a 6-foot crane flying.
Yeah, we had a pair of sandhill cranes that lived in the farm field next to our house when I was a kid. They were really cool to watch. They would come back every summer and have a chick. I was going to see if I can find that.
You can find the call.
I'm trying to find the call.
Cranes fly with their necks straight out, whereas herons will bring their heads into their body and snake their neck. So if you see something like a big bird like this flying through town, it's probably a heron just because they're more common. But if it is a crane passing through, its neck will be straight out as it flies.
All right. So I have it pulled up, yes. So the International Crane Foundation in Baraboo, Wisconsin, they have, I think they still have all of the crane species.
They used to if they
don't.
They
used to if they don't still. They're a really amazing facility if you ever get the chance to visit. But that is where our male was born, and they also have a really awesome website that I'm going to try to pull up, make sure my volume is all the way up. I'm going to pull up, this is a unison call. So this is what I've heard these guys do this call before. He's like, where's that crane?
Yes.
So those are the types of calls that you would hear the cranes do together.
We, it was probably last fall, we had somebody come to the gift shop and say that they heard our elephant and they were wondering where our elephant was.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we never quite figured out exactly what they meant, but we think it was that crane calling.
Yeah.
They heard it and they thought it sounded like an elephant trumpet. So this is pretty common, especially as it gets later in the day. Mm-hmm. When it gets closer to 4 or 5 o'clock, you'll hear it quite frequently. They'll make that call. You want to play it again? Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah.
Now that they're closer.
So you see she's using that big old sharp beak to find those bugs. They do dig in the dirt.
She's got one in her mouth right now.
That's it, girlfriend. That's all the bugs I brought.
So, yeah, you want to repeat, Susan asked what they eat.
Yeah, so I'm throwing some super worms for her. In the wild, they're going to eat, they're omnivorous, so they'll eat aquatic plants, frogs, insects, anything small like that, berries, plants, seeds. Here in the wild, here at the zoo, I said that last time too, here in the zoo, we feed them super worms like I just finished feeding her. We also give her some shredded lettuce, and then these crane pellets.
Get a shot of the crane pellets again.
So these are the crane pellets that a company makes specifically for cranes.
There's pellets for almost any animal.
Yeah.
If there's an animal and it lives at the zoo, there's a chance somebody
There's
makes...
probably a company that made a specialized pelleted.
Right. All right, so do we want to show what this week's...
Yeah, so this week, if you guys donate to any of our lives, you'll be entered into a raffle to win this animal painting done by Sally, our American alligator.
Just donate any amount of money through the donate button at the bottom of this or any of the videos.
Make sure we can see your name, so we have your name to enter in the raffle.
Don't donate anonymously if you'd like to win this. And then Sunday morning we'll draw a name.
Yeah.
And somebody will get to put that on their wall. It's pretty cool. So tomorrow we'll be back. We'll be doing a tour of the rainforest and hopefully seeing a lot of the birds in there and talking about them. So if you have any rainforest questions, be sure to ask them. Be sure to bring them, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, guys.